Dre.
This is Rich. Thank you guys for joining us on a special edition of the podcast. No guests. We just decided today a lot of little things happened.
And we didn't want to wait.
So postponed what we was going to do. Decided we're going to talk about the obvious today. Make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast. Click the link so you get notifications every time we got a new episode up.
Right.
So
if you want to watch us, YouTube, of course, because you're watching us now.
Yep.
You want to listen to us, all of the podcast platforms. So just follow us, like us, let us know how you feel. Anyway, brother.
All right. So before we jump into the obvious, let's cover a couple of the things that's been going on. White people are still... Well, actually, you know what? I don't know about this Colorado shooter. I only saw a name. The name was like Ahmed something. I did not see a picture thus far. We don't know what his race is. We're going to assume. But it's crazy. Now we got Atlanta.
Yeah.
Now Colorado.
Yep.
All within a couple of weeks.
Yep.
And the crazy part of that is, like, we can get into the gun control, not gun control part of it. But I just feel like we have to admit it's kind of crazy that you can walk into a place.
Yeah.
Leave the same day with a gun and then go shoot up a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to say, well, hey,
something needs to change.
Right.
Something. Like it like
and let me not say nobody. Some people will say something, but other people are like, no, we can't change it. Second, and I'm like, hey, you know me. I'm a gun lover. I'm a proponent. I'm a firm believer everyone should own a couple of guns.
I'm good.
Right. And it's just, but I'm still like from a common sense perspective. If I can say, yo, this person did this, and then left there and went and did. It's like, come on, we gotta.
Yeah, I mean, you know what though? Like, I think that that's a perfect one of the one issue voter kind of topics. Mm-hmm. And it's very very much aligned with conservatism in the country anyway, right? It's like, even if we don't agree with what's going on, we still rally around whatever that tenet is. Yeah. Right? Like, I mean, that's how the guy got voted in.
Right. He was able to find those one issue and say, hey, this is the thing.
And all he had to do was say, I am pro-life.
Right.
He had to say, we're going to keep the guns. We're going to bring coal back.
Not just that. Not only am I going to keep them, if you are like them, they'll get rid of it. And the crazy thing about arguments like that is...
Nobody ever said they wanted to take your guns at all.
And even now, it's still about, hey, could we get some background check? Could the background checks include some mental health stuff?
Sure.
Because the bad part is, I could have no felonies. Right. But be a complete basket case.
Sure.
And I can walk, in the last case, I can walk out
still,
with it.
Yeah.
Because I have no felonies.
Right.
And that's just...
Right.
The core of the problem.
What's crazier though is that, like, to drive a car,
bruh.
Right? Like, to drive a car,
bruh. You got
to do the written test, and then you have to go and do a road test, and then, granted, you don't have to like do a road test every single time, but you do have to check in and renew your license. And I don't know.
In some states, you have a mandatory amount of hours that you have to do of driving class before you can even take the test.
Right. So, and then they have ways to prohibit you. Yep. From like doing wild stuff, like your insurance goes up when you start doing things that are stupid. Like there's none of that.
Many checks and balances. There's more checks and balances with vehicles than guns, and that's the crazy part of living in the U.S. And this is from a gun lover. Even can say, guys, we can regulate this a little bit more and still not infringe on people's freedoms. But
so it is unfortunate. I'm tired of hearing people die, especially. I mean, we're literally in the middle of a pandemic, right? And people are dying from that. We don't need to add to it.
Bruh. All right.
And I hate to laugh, but like...
No, you're absolutely right. It's like, it's not funny, but it's like, dog, of all the things,
right? Like,
you think you're dealing with COVID and all this other stuff, and then, boom, we still forget that there's mass shootings. Right. We had 2 in a week. So...
Right.
What else has been in the news? Quavo. And there's been a lot of breakups in the news, not just Quavo.
I think the title of this episode needs to be the breakup. The breakup
There's been a lot of breakups in the news, but this dude got petty with his.
Yes.
You don't think it's?
No. I definitely think it's petty. I definitely. And for the viewers, Quavo, he broke up. Her name's Saweetie or whatever her name is, and. So it was funny to me first because...
It's still funny to me.
Well, because all of the memes that came out, like, pretty much being like, yo, you need to talk to Offset. Because he figured out
how to get his back.
Yeah,
because Cardi B and Offset seem to be great.
Yeah, they had a rocky patch, but they're good right now.
I mean, my dude hopped on her stage without her permission.
but yo, the low key, the way he got her back was a little bit like, I was like, fam, so, we gonna call the cops? Like, what we gonna do? But she apparently loved it.
He clearly knows his chick.
That's the thing. He knows his audience.
Right.
The funny part was like after they got back together, like after her birthday, and Cardi, like her or love it, she's hilarious.
I love
like, she was like, when they asked, well, why you get back with him? It was my birthday and I was horny. Like,
so transparent.
Like I loved it.
I didn't care. It was my birthday. I wanted some dick.
I missed the dick.
Right. Then the next morning, she's like sweeping up, and you got the line in the song, "I don't cook, I don't clean." You know,
He's like, I'm cooking and cleaning today.
Right. And he posted it on his page like, "I don't cook, I don't clean." Where? While she's like, like that thing had her in the kitchen just.
But again,
what do you want for breakfast?
They know each other,
right?
And it works. So Mr. Quavo.
Matt, look.
So he took back the Bentley.
No, but sent a repo man to get it.
Yeah, that actually makes it worse.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that standpoint. Yeah.
Because it's one thing to say, look, I'm still making payments on that. We not together.
Well, we don't know if he outright bought it.
Right, we don't. So that's why I'm using this example.
Okay.
It's one thing for me to say, look, I'm still making payments on it because I figured we'd be together for the 3-4 years, whatever, right? But we not together no more.
Right.
Are you gonna pick up these payments?
Right.
No. All right, then just leave a key. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Because we're not together. I'm not gonna. I don't care if I'm rich. I'm not gonna keep just every month.
Out. Yeah.
Right. We're not.
Do we know why they broke up? Because I didn't pay attention to any of it.
I only heard about it when he took the car back. That's the funny thing. Like,
me
when
too.
I saw the memes about the car being taken back, that's the only thing that made me even look at this because I don't know who she is. Sure. You know, I don't follow a lot of these current rappers.
Right.
Whether it's to my downfall or not, being somebody who is actually
ain't no downfall.
But when I say it is like being somebody who is like now in a podcast situation, right?
Where we're adults.
We are adults.
we don't need to
say less.
We don't need to pay attention to that.
Because like I said, I didn't even know who she was. I did not know anything. But I heard about the Repo Man situation, and that tickled me right here, though.
So it's funny, right? Because I take it back to when I was engaged for 4 months, right? I will say this though. One of the best parts of that 4 months is that we actually went to premarital counseling with like my childhood priest.
Right.
Super dope dude. And like he opened up the session
right
talking about like what a gift is and how when you give a gift, there really should be like no expectation of anything, not even a thank you, right?
Right.
We've been raised to at least want to be appreciated for what it is, but But like if you give somebody something, it's really supposed to be out of the generosity of your heart, and it
shouldn't come with any strings.
No strings attached.
Right.
So like even if the person wastes it, okay, it sucks. Maybe I'm not gonna give you that kind of gift again.
Right.
But ultimately, when I give it to you, it's yours.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And like so, it made me think about that. But I was like,
but you know,
if I gave somebody a $300,000 vehicle,
I don't know.
I might not have that much grace, yo. Like,
and that's why I was like, when I saw it, I was like, because people was like, "Oh, he a lame for taking it back," and I was like, I don't know, like he might be a lame for taking it back.
So here's the only difference I think between him and us, though. Like, I can't afford a Bentley, so like the idea of So
I gotta use shit that's on my level. Right. And honestly, when I think of stuff that's on my level, even stuff like I got my ex or whatever, she got me like pre-breakup or whatever. Right. It's not like we ever called each other like, "Oh, I want back." Like, no, it was a gift. You know what I'm saying? So
I mean, I've been in those kind of situations.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, it's like on my level, but it was not a Bentley. Like, I didn't buy my ex. I didn't buy her Honda. You know what I'm saying? It was not a car regardless. So
you can keep the TV,
right?
Like,
right, like
it was a gift.
I don't want it back. So.
I already paid it off. Like, we're good.
Exactly.
We're good.
So, before we get into the main thing, I want to talk about what's happening down in Houston right now, because it's a little bit more of a serious topic.
Okay.
And I think it deserves at least a little bit of attention, just because it deals with what is a problem in society right now. Sure. Especially with professional athletes.
Oh no, so and let's backtrack.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Across the board.
And it's just, I think, highlighted with professional athletes.
And correct. That's what I meant. I should have said.
Gotcha.
It's more highlighted when it comes to like these high profile individuals. Right?
Sure.
So of course I'm talking about Deshaun Watson.
Right.
and the several allegations against him of whether they're calling it sexual harassment or
sexual misconduct.
Because the names vary from state to state, and I'm not. No one is alleging like full on rape, right? But they are saying that his actions were
inappropriate,
very inappropriate,
right?
Now, to be clear, no criminal charges have been filed, at least as of the time of this tape, at least last information I have.
Okay,
it's all lawsuits, and
so it's all civil.
It's all civil.
Okay.
And I can say, like, as somebody from the outside looking in, and if you know anything about Deshaun Watson, like, he was a model citizen in terms of, like, just his time in the NFL.
Okay.
You know, he had no scandals, no issues, no stories about him that raise any eyebrows. Just comes out, plays football, amazing quarterback.
Okay.
And the biggest scandal with him was he wanted out of the team he's on mid-contract. And really he wanted out because the team basically was showing some kind of racist qualities to them, right?
I mean, it's Texas.
Right. So, you know how I feel about Texas already, dog. So he wanted out, right?
Okay.
And he was willing to sit out or whatever.
Okay.
And then this drops. And the first is an allegation from a masseuse about saying that he basically was very inappropriate with her. He like exposed himself or basically insinuated that he wanted more. I'm not really sure exactly because I read some of it, but before I could even like fully process one,
another one popped up.
Then another one popped up. And I was kind of ready to dismiss the first one as just like, I don't know if I believe this one. Like, and then it's just an allegation. Like, let's hear it out. Now we at like 14.
It's the Cosby effect, bro.
Right. 14 with 10 pending all of a sudden.
And what makes it worse is, and full disclosure, I don't pay attention to the NFL like that. So I didn't even really know who he was. I knew the name, but like I didn't know who he was. But I did see all the headlines, and I also saw, like Cosby, hasn't said anything, which I'm sure is part of a legal strategy.
Well, he said something the first time, like after the first allegation, and it was almost ill-advised when he did it. He immediately responded with a tweet that, this is a baseless allegation in response to a lawsuit that I wouldn't settle, and blah blah blah. So he responded to the first one,
and his lawyer was probably very quick to say,
because he didn't have the lawyer at the time. So now zero dark 30.
Yeah. So what do we discuss here? Because like,
I mean, I think we need to, in all reality, I know that the whole thing is about believe women, right? Like when a victim comes forward and says you do something, I am still of the mindset of everybody's story needs to be heard. So while I'm not going to pretend like the victims are lying, because when you get 14 people, right? With possibly 10 pending, all in the same line of work.
It doesn't look good.
Right. Like they're all masseuses, or however you would say that in plural.
I think that's what it is.
And
Masai.
Right. Like masseuse. So you get 20 of them.
Yeah.
I'm just like, why do you need 20 different massage therapists or whatever?
I look at like a masseuse very similar to my barber, right? Like
once
I have a barber that I've been going to since I've been, I think, like 11.
Right.
And I mean, granted, if I'm out the country and I got to get a cut, sure.
Right. You get that main one, and you might have a substitute or two depending on location.
But my guy is my guy. So and I maybe they just weren't good at their job. But 20 though, like you've got to
in a short space of time, not just 20 in a very small. So it doesn't look good for him
at all.
Another part of my problem is this narrative that the NFL needs to do something, and I'm like,
what do they need to do though?
So people want the NFL to take action, and I'm like, the NFL should wait for the legal aspect of it before they take action. Now I get it. They aren't held to the same burden of proof. Like they don't need as much information as the law does as a private entity.
I think the difference though is, and I try to put the hat on of being unbiased here, right? So I look at it similarly to like an officer who is in a shooting, like where they shoot an unarmed person or whatever it is, and they go on administrative leave. Now I know a lot of that has to do with the union, and you just can't fire somebody just because there hasn't. But then the other part is, you take them off the force, at least at the time, and continue paying them because their line of work is where the thing happened.
Right.
Here, and this is never to like trivialize anyone's situation, but like he didn't do this thing on the field. This is something that happened off the field.
Right.
And it has like there has to be some type of court proceedings where somebody finds him guilty or not guilty in order to be like, in order for the NFL to say, all right, cool. Because what happens if he's found not guilty and the NFL was like, well, nah, we just didn't rock with you.
And honestly, that's what happens sometimes.
Right.
Because the NFL doesn't need they can act on an allegation. And the thing is, this was part of their union, their collective bargaining, that the NFL has this power that they can put you on the commissioner's exempt list or do certain things without needing that guilty verdict. And I just think, I think it's kind of messed up because now I'm not saying they are lying, but in reality, someone can lie about what happened. And the lie sounds so convincing that the NFL can say, yeah, nope, we believe her. Right. And I could categorically deny it. Right. Right. And it's messed up on both sides. If he did what he did, absolutely he deserves whatever comes his way. Right. And because of how many people it is, it kind of looks at least like there was some level of he did something. Right. Whether it's everything they said or not. Sure. And so it's unfortunate for all the parties involved.
I mean, but I go back to like, what can the NFL do right now though? Like it's the off season right now. Right. Like, you know what I'm saying, like
I think with the anticipation that this is going to at least drag out into the season, they can start. I think people just want to see them do something, and this is part of the other problem.
Everything now, though, like...
right? This is part of the other problem. Just this need to appease people, and that needs. It's kind of like cancel culture, where you just want because I was listening to like Molly Caram on First Take. We're talking about, well, you have so many women that support you, and you need to show women that you're taking a stand. And it's like, how about they wait until they get some information, or at least a little bit more information. And then let them take their action at an appropriate... Like, they don't need to take action right now just to appease.
I'll even take it a step backwards or forwards. I don't even know which way it is. But, like, why not first run to the Texans and be like, y'all do something? Because this is not solely an NFL problem. This is, in my opinion, like, it's very similar to, like, politics, right? Yeah. If something happens in D.C., I'm not running to the... DC is probably horrible. Right. The president's literally right down the street. But like, I'm not going to the federal government first. I'm going to go to the mayor's
organization.
First.
Right.
Or a matter of fact, I might even go to council member's office
and just
first.
say, hey,
like, this is what's going on. And if I get ignored there, then move it up. And then move it up. Like,
I even take it to the step of, I think we should be okay with letting the organization, let the law
do their job.
And then
once if they don't do it right, then
right. After the law is done, like this need to appease people, it causes organizations to jump the gun.
Yes, I agree.
Because they may turn around and impose some punishment and then find out all 20 of these girls are lying. Right. And now they're like, too late. We already did it.
The difficulty is that that's the world we live in. And and honestly, like that, like, I mean, granted, I'm not working with like NFL players and stuff, but like, that's literally why I get hired for a lot of things I get hired for. Because something happens and the company is more focused on branding, which of course makes sense. They're focused on their brand.
They're focused on their money.
And it's like, we don't want our brand to go down the toilet. So what do we do to appease these loud people right now?
Right. So, and honestly, squeaky wheel
gets all the oil. So, all the oil.
All right. Main topic today. We touched all the little stuff.
I'm so excited.
Pause.
Really? I'm usually the one that does this, right?
Yeah. So, Derrick Jaxn.
No. First of all, why does he spell his last name Jaxn?
I don't know. Like, I don't get it, dog. I mean, branding probably. I don't know. Being unique, I don't know. So, full disclosure. By now, it's been all over all the social media, everything everybody knows. Derrick Jaxn, relationship person. I don't know what you would call him.
Well, he considers himself a relationship expert.
Person who
I agree with you.
Built his career sitting in his car.
Shitting on dudes.
Men, right.
In particular,
we're going to call it what it is, right?
Right.
So he did this for what I found out it's been like 9 years.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was so long.
Me neither.
I will say that like I haven't liked him since the very first video I saw,
Dog.
which might have been 9 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, continue.
So built his career
Right.
giving advice to women
Mm-hmm.
about what men should do and what men shouldn't do, and
Sure.
what happens if a man does this, and
Sure.
it's just been the series of anti-men rants, right?
And I'm going to pause you for a second. I think that we have to really focus on the fact that it's not just that this is what men shouldn't do or men should do.
Mhm.
It's this unapologetic, they ain't shit
Right.
kind of tone that he has.
Yeah, no, he has this judgmental, very
Yo.
like he had a superiority complex in the way to, and that's one of the things that made some people dislike him and other people flock to him because
That's why I disliked him.
because he legitimately built up a huge following.
Sure.
And I'm like you, like from the first few videos, like I've never followed him, but people would post the videos on social
Right.
media and stuff. And
I
I would
watched
see
a few seconds
and-
of it, and I'm like, I can't watch this anymore.
Right. Found out now that he's amassed a huge following based on this, right?
Right.
So found out that
He's one of those ain't shit niggas that he talks about.
right. And I'm not gonna lie, there's not a lot of things on social media that made me smile like this. And I'm not even one to revel in the downfall of another guy, but this one tickled me. This one caught me right here, bro. Right in the feels. I saw it and I was like, though it was like that Outcast, because I think it was you sent me Big Boy. It was like,
yeah.
oh, I know it ain't.
I know it ain't.
I know it ain't. This thing, I was like, bro, I was like, hang on, wait.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, like
So-
I'm with you. Like I actually, so I think the bigger issue is that it's unfortunate that women mostly, but everyone, like men and women, are in these situations where there's infidelity involved, right?
Right.
Like I've been guilty of it. Like I'm not even about to sit here and act like I am above any of this shit. Like I've gotten caught. Before I got caught, like I had been doing it for long enough that like I felt like, oh, I can get away with this forever.
Right.
That said, I reached a point where I was like, I think pretty much after getting caught. Like I'm like, and the thing is, it wasn't even caught in the act, right? It was one of those things where,
You got like after the fact.
bruh, it was one of those things where like I could have denied it because like what was brought to me wasn't actually the thing, but I was like,
This was your chance to come clean.
I was like, yo, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like
right.
I'm not doing the right thing. I know I'm not doing the right thing.
Right.
Let me just address this, right? And that's why, you know, the whole reform fuckboy thing, like that's kind of where it was birthed, because for me it's like I'm not about to sit here and act like I'm an angel.
Right.
Cause I'm not.
So good to your point, right? I think what actually brought this to the level of attention it got was Offset cheated on Cardi.
Right.
People barely bat it. Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce, and people talked about it for a little bit just because it's Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Right.
But you know, other than watching the video of Solange going in the elevator, which was hilarious, nobody really
Beyond.
right. Nobody ain't really care that much.
Right.
So everybody, it happens. I'm not saying cheating is right. I'm saying that things happen. Nobody's perfect.
Right.
But was this dude
Right.
put on this persona of I'm better than
everyone,
all of y'all.
Right.
If he does this, I don't got no sympathy for him. Blah blah. Like he had this air of I'm better than all of this,
Bro.
and I'm in a position where I can instruct y'all on how to live.
Right.
I'm gonna write books about it. I'm gonna do all this other stuff. So when you put on this fake persona for the gram and the book,
and then this happens.
Because I tell you, dog, men get caught. Men and women get caught all the time, and they don't get this kind of attention.
And honestly, you tend to get caught. And he actually kind of points it out, right? Like when you get caught, it's not usually the first time, right? It's usually like
it's the time that you got caught,
right? And
it's the time that you got sloppy.
And I'll even go as far, because I love that you put it that way. A lot of times, the reason why you didn't get caught the first few times is because you were probably concerned about getting caught.
Right.
So you do all the things to try not to get caught. You get away with it enough times, you start to get complacent.
Yep.
And we don't know the stories behind this dude in particular, but
well, basically, this girl,
Candace,
came forward and put his business out there, right? So here's where we at with the story now. Candace puts his business out there, and he goes into damage control mode. Now,
He didn't have training,
bruh. This is what made this story so. Because the crazy thing
he should
is,
have called me.
he should have called you.
I would have been like, don't do it.
No.
Just don't do it.
I think anybody would have told him. And remember, I was like, I even told you, I was like, I'm waiting to see what he got to say, and you was like, nah, he's gonna be a turtle for a little while. And then like,
because that would have made sense.
and dog, like 30 minutes later, I was like, dog, there's a lie.
Right. I was like, are you serious?
I was like, because I agreed with you. I was like, you know what? That's right. I'm not even gonna say anything right now because the reality is,
we don't know.
You don't owe us an explanation
At all.
right?
At all.
Someone says you cheated on your wife,
Right.
and the crazy part of it wasn't a revelation now, according to what you're saying.
This was in the past.
And she already knew about it,
Right.
and forgave you.
Right. Because you're back with your wife at this point in time.
Right. So this is the part where I started to see through, because I've always thought he was a phony. Right?
Okay.
I've believed he was a con man from the start, and he proved it.
I just thought he was a cunt.
That too. But I believed he was
Actually,
a con.
I can't call him a cunt because we like cunts. So I think we said that in an earlier episode. Like,
That's going to be the one that can't get monetized.
it's fine. You know, like, it's okay. Like, we cannot normalize using the things we like to call people the things we don't like. Anyway,
Fair.
continue.
So I think where he was, I even lost my train of thought.
Like, where, like you said, you thought he was phony at first.
Right. So I thought he was a con man at first because even when he was like sitting in the car with all these judgmental thoughts, I was like, he's not, even the videos I saw, there was never a balance. The women were never, and I'm like, no, the women can't always be right, dog. Like, you know, I can say men messed up here.
Right.
But there was never, at least not in the first set of videos, and I didn't follow him, so I don't know if he ever changed his narrative.
Right.
But that first set of videos was always, listen up, ladies,
Niggas
this is
ain't
what I
shit.
meant. Right.
That's really it.
And so I was like, oh, I see what he's doing.
Right.
He's pandering to a specific audience to get a bunch of female followers.
Right.
He's probably trying to smash half of them anyway, and none of this that he's saying is real. It's not, because you can never, it's like when you're too right wing or too left wing. If you're all the way on one side,
then you missed it.
Because no side of any argument is ever completely correct, right? So I've always thought he was a con man. Then comes his damage control, which solidified it.
Which part?
Oh, I'm step by stepping this damage control, sir. So he comes out, video number 1.
Right.
First off, he got his book propped up.
And his blouse. Because he looked like he had a blouse on.
Oh yeah, the silk joint.
Right. And yo, I love a deep V, but I was like, something looks off with this shirt, dog. It looks like a woman's shirt.
A little bit, though. Except for the arms was a little too big, dog.
Like, he is so, like, his muscle distribution is weird. Like, it's just, first of all, I didn't, and this is going to sound really gay, I don't care. I didn't realize how big he was. I was like, pause. But like, I was like, this dude is, he's a swole. He's a swole dude. Yeah, he doesn't look so swole in the car.
But apparently he's mad short. Apparently he's like 5'5", 5'6",
and that's probably why the weight distribution
right.
looks like that.
So I didn't
because
really
he's so low to the ground.
Right. He's giving off 5'6" energy, dog. That's all I'm saying.
For sure.
No disrespect to any of my 5'6" dudes listening. Just
Chris, we're not talking about you, okay?
You gonna get on. So, real talk. So he comes out, does the video. Book propped up in the corner, right?
Yeah, product placement.
Right? So I'm sitting, I'm like, oh, I know he's not about to hit us with an infomercial for his book.
He did, though.
And in the first 5 minutes of him talking, maybe the first couple of minutes was getting the live setup.
Sure.
He referenced the book like, 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. It was a lot.
Both.
It was a lot.
And I was like, this isn't even an apology or whatever. And again, you don't owe us
anything, an
explanation or an apology.
Anything.
Because in reality, you've settled this with your wife.
Right.
So you're coming on TV now to salvage your career.
Well, I mean, aside from that, like, and I think you're spot on. It is to salvage the career, but on top of that, you still don't owe us anything.
That's what I said.
Like even not even for the career, because honestly, he could have probably gotten away not saying anything.
Right.
And then eventually popping back up and just continue the conversation as it was.
But this is a word that has been thrown around a lot on all of the socials. And it's the most accurate word to describe this.
He's a narcissist.
He's a narcissist.
That's it.
He couldn't possibly do what you just said.
Right.
Because the average person would have thought about it like, look, I did what I had to do.
Doesn't he have like 1 million followers, some shit like that?
It's
some ridiculous number. I was like,
right. God. So he didn't have to do any of that, right? he could have came on and said, look, yeah, what this lady Candace said was true. However, this is an old story that I've already dealt with my wife. We've dealt with this, and it's done now. I'm not perfect.
Oh, he could have called Rich because Rich just handled it.
End the story. Dog, this isn't
mine wasn't even gonna be like that.
Fam, this isn't even a live. This is a reel.
Dog,
this is 30 seconds.
Mine was gonna be like, it's none of your fucking business.
Right. See, I would have at least given you that. No. Yeah, no, dog. This was a year ago. I told her, she was mad and forgave me. And we here.
Dog, if my wife is not talking about this shit publicly, then I'm not talking about it publicly.
Right.
In that particular situation.
Right. That's the whole story, right? But the narcissist needs the attention. So now he's like, damn, I gotta, how can I spin this? Boom. So he brought both his books out and did a 30-minute infomercial for his books where he lied, right? He had the nerve. So
that was the part that got me when my man said I was in a sexual relationship without having sex. I was like,
the man said, and Charlemagne said it best. The man said, I gave my life to Jesus and it ruined my life. And I was like,
dog, like, I'm gonna tell you right now. I
was so confused.
So it was funny because like, and you didn't watch the whole thing, did you?
Yeah, I ended up going back.
Okay. So before we talked, like you said, you like I wasn't watching the whole thing.
I wasn't, but then
it was just too much. You couldn't.
I could be, especially with all the other stuff. I was like,
sure.
I got to go back to the original now.
So I was watching it,
yeah,
and like the whole I had a sexual relationship without sex part. I was like, come on,
bruh. That was
like
right.
I mean, like that's a softball. Like you don't have to lie about that part.
You don't.
That's not the part you want to lie about. Like if you're gonna lie, like don't lie about that part.
Exactly.
right.
Like so, the stuff you come clean and then keep it moving. Right.
And then it was funny because like when he started talking about his walk with Christ before he said that he gave his life to Christ and his life.
He said something about his life went to shambles or something along those lines. Right.
So the like before he got to that point, I was like, actually, like as he got to that point, right? I was like, yeah, saying that you gave your life to Christ is not the same as actually submitting your life to Christ.
Right.
And then he eventually touched on that as well.
Yeah.
But I was dumbfounded by the fact that like he had to talk to somebody and they had to tell him like, you haven't actually submitted to Christ. Like, I'm sorry. And I'm not one of these Bible thumping zealots.
Right.
But I've been to enough church to know what the actual process is.
Yeah.
Bro, you didn't submit your life to Christ. Like that, like, don't even bring God into this.
Right. And so exactly what you said there. And you know me. I'm
You're like, I'm not.
Right. Like you say you're not a Bible thumping zealot. So if you're here, I'm somewhere down here, right?
Sure.
I'm just like, okay, bruh. So which part of it was your dick and another chick? Like,
I'm just waiting.
Right. Like, cause Candace said this.
Right.
Was it Candace?
I think it's Candace.
Whatever. She said this. What you saying is
we about to ruin Candace's name.
Like,
I don't even know it's her real name, but I think it's Candace.
I know it starts with a C. So you're here like, well, you know, like I discussed in my first book,
sure.
Blah 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 blah, and then like I said, and then you're talking about, and your one thing with him is he's one of those people, we know some of them, who thinks he's smarter than he actually is. So he will play around with the words. So someone who's not
paying
actually
attention,
listening
right,
might get lost in his semi-sophisticated wordplay. It really isn't that sophisticated.
He's not saying anything.
He's not saying anything when you're listening to it.
Right.
So I'm listening. I'm like, oh, you're a con man.
Yeah.
You're still pulling the same con you always did.
Yeah.
So
his strategy was kind of there, but his execution was horrible because honestly, I will say the attempt, the idea of the attempt. Let me not say the attempt. The idea of the attempt actually made sense because if he was mirroring, this is something I went through. I just wasn't vulnerable enough to actually say that this is me because he posed the book as a fictional thing.
Right.
It's like I didn't have it in me the courage to say that it was me.
Right.
And this is really what spurred the book.
Right.
If he had gone that direction and actually pulled it off, I'd have been like,
and then
not bad.
And then better yet, had he made that like 15 minutes and cut straight to the point, I would have even been like, okay, you know what? I get it. We're not perfect, right? So I could have even overlooked the fact that you put on this perfect persona for all this time.
Sure.
And now you're only admitting to imperfections not even when you get caught, because you got caught a year ago. Right. You're admitting to it when it hits the socials. So you realize that your concern isn't actually your wife and her feelings
at all.
Your concern is your followers, right?
And that was very clear in the follow-up video.
Oh,
we'll get there in a second.
No, I'm here. We're there now. So right.
Oh no, because before the follow-up video,
or
was it after? was the pastor. Was that after? I think it was after. So anyway, yeah, go ahead. Don't worry.
See, I was skipping over the pastor.
No, we got to.
Okay,
like you have to because
Okay.
like I think one of the biggest issues with, and this kind of goes back to the God piece, right? Like
Right.
bringing Jesus into it. One of the biggest issues with church in general,
Mhm.
right? That a lot of people have is you go to church and all these people act like they are holier than thou,
Right.
but then and mad pastors say this shit in church. They be like, but then when you leave, you cussing somebody out because they cut you off trying to leave the parking lot, right?
Right.
Like those two things don't match,
Right.
So the hypocrisy in you had a video, I can't remember how long ago it was, but I think I can't remember the pastor's name, but anyway, he had cheated on his wife, got
Right.
caught. It was a whole national
and he brought
scandal.
it up.
Right. So he brought it up like years ago.
Yeah.
And shit on him.
Yeah.
But was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And then tried to justify what he was saying in like a follow-up video like this week too. I was like, nah, bro.
Right. And then the pastor made a post. Was like, yo, keep my name.
Keep my name out your mouth.
Right. Like don't
because don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
The pastor is just fine.
Right.
He has his following still. He owned his shit, and I think this is the one thing I will give to pastors, especially in these mega churches that get caught up in this kind of shit. I'll give this to them. They own their shit in front of everybody.
Listen,
which is really difficult to do.
Absolutely.
When you're in a position that you're telling people or trying to shepherd people
right
in a certain direction.
And listen, we can, and we'll cut right back to this, but this brings up something else I want to talk about was the whole like Kurt Franklin thing, right?
Right.
Where you noticed Kurt Franklin's situation popped up where he was cussing his son out.
Right.
On a private phone call
that his son recorded.
Son's 33 years old. So son is a grown man.
He's a bitch ass nigga like his dad.
Right, but I mean age wise. Age wise, right? We know what he is because he proved what he is by posting it online. Right? But my point is, people came to Kurt's defense because they were ready for folks to criticize Kurt. And I honestly I didn't hear anyone actually criticize Kurt. Okay. I heard people defending him, for sure. And I think they were anticipating backlash. And I don't think that backlash ever came. Maybe I missed it because of the people I follow.
There wasn't.
But I don't. Right. I don't. And Kirk without having to apologize, he also did not owe us an apology.
I'll take a step further. Not only did he not owe us an apology, I don't think he should have apologized.
Right. I agree. I think he should have.
Because I'll say I don't believe that he should have been speaking to his son that way either. Personally, right?
Okay.
But that was a conversation he had with his son. His son posted it, and when it comes down to it, to the point we've been making all before, he doesn't owe us shit.
No,
and his son was actually being a little bitch. So
and Kirk never pretended to be perfect
ever.
So nothing about that video,
right,
in any way made me think any differently about it because I'm like, okay, look.
If anything, I was like, okay, Kirk. I did because I never really paid much attention to people in those spaces anyway.
Right,
but you know he's positioned as this elite gospel singer.
Right. But at the end of the day,
he's a man just like all of us.
In an argument with another adult.
And as a parent.
And he got angry. And honestly, I could say, you know what? As a parent, I probably shouldn't have talked to my son like that. And that's it. That's to me, if it was me, that's probably the extent of my apology, quote unquote, because I don't know if I'm actually apologizing. I'm saying, you know what? I did not need to talk to my son like that. However, he was behaving in a manner that was described accurately in what I said.
So here's how I would have handled it. As the consultant here, I would have said, here are the talking points. We don't talk about this unless somebody asks us about it in a conversation. Right. In an interview. Yeah. You do not need to go online at all.
Right. He didn't need to go, especially if you gauge the room, you would see that you're following. They're supporting you. They're not even.
And it probably went up.
Right. They're not even mad at you for this. And they actually, if you follow the memes, your son kind of proved what you said to be right. So we actually believe you. So anyway,
back to
D-Jax, right?
D-Jax.
Old Kurt never pretended to be something he wasn't
at all.
So no one turned their backs on him, quote unquote. At all. Old D-Jax put on this facade. And so now, boom, the veil is uncovered. Oh, shoot, you're the dude you was talking about. And like you said, he's throwing this one under the bus. He's blaming this one. He's deflecting. He's like, pew, pew, Jedi mind trick, right? And then, at the same time, trying to sell his book. So he's like continuing to pitch this, this happened in the book. folks called him on it in the comments. And this is how you know he's a narcissist,
Really?
because a lot of people will tell you, especially when you get to a certain point, don't pay attention to the comment section, right?
Right.
And not because you're above it, but because you understand.
There's literally no way to manage it.
Exactly.
There's no way to manage it.
Exactly.
And I've had to, like, I've done this with, I mean, granted, never on this type of scale, but I've
Right.
done this with like executives of companies that like have rolled out social media programs, and I'm like, bro, do not pay attention to the comments at all. You let somebody else pay attention to them, and then they will figure out how to aggregate it and
like I said, and we've seen it even on a smaller scale from like a promoter standpoint, where things may go left, right? Where like a brand or event you've been involved in, I've been involved with brands who had a snafu.
Sure.
And so following that snafu, people are gonna come in the comments and have things to say. And it's like you kind of have to either you deal with it head on, or you let it play out, and then you come out with something better that you can now start to take attention away from it. However you choose to deal with it as a brand,
right?
The one thing you can't do is that comment section, can't take it to heart.
Right.
This particular narcissist couldn't do that, dog.
And pause for a second. Like, let me backtrack. You can pay attention to the comments. It's the response to them.
But that's what I mean by paying attention.
Like, it's
right?
like,
absolutely.
It's like, you want to know what people are saying so you know how to actually move.
Right.
But not how, like, you shouldn't be reacting to the bullshit.
So here we go back to old D Jaxn. The thing happened.
Right.
And he realized, and this is me pretending to know what was in his head only because I'm basing it on his actions. So I feel like I know what was in his head, right? I could be wrong, but whatever.
You're not.
You saw the comments. He was like, shit, I need to fix this. Hey, babe, we got to do a video together. And she's like, for what? Like that thing. Remember, they killing me out there.
The cartoon, though.
Dog, the cartoon was perfect.
The vibrator in the back of the cartoon made it even funnier to me.
Yo,
like, I was like, why they put a vibrator?
No, they added that because that was not in the original meme. So,
I was like,
look, let me tell you something, dog. One thing we as people are, and a friend of mine pointed this out as we talk about it, we are creative as hell.
Dog, when
this thing happened, the memes hit immediately. The video parodies.
The videos were like the best to me, dog.
Like, it made it so much funnier, and it's like, we are so creative. And this social media has given us such an outlet to show that creativity. And some of the people that it's a shame that you get people like him getting popular off of it, because he was not creative at all. He was actually kind of like bringing people down and using that to his advantage, kind of like dickhead Kevin Samuels. But anyway, it's another story for another day. But
at least Kevin Samuels
still a dick.
No, I'm fine with that, right? Because I agree. Like, he's a dick, but at least with him, he not acting like he's holier than thou. He's still condescending.
He better not pop up with a 5 is all I'm saying.
That's the only thing. So if he pops up with matter of fact, he better not pop up with anything less than an 8.
Right. No, a 9. Like, when he pops up with because the way
I'm with you.
If it's not Halle or Beyonce or something,
it should be an 8 when she wake up and a 9
right.
when she put on makeup.
It needs to be an 8, fresh out the bed, eye crusty, like dog.
When she pregnant, like when she just gave birth, she's an 8.
Right. Wait till he pop up with something less than an absolute 8 or 9.
Bro, which is true. Like, it's funny if you go online and look pictures, he's never with anyone. I don't think I've seen him with any women. Have you? Oh, I gotta go look.
Oh, you still think he likes women? Okay, cool. All right, go ahead. All right, okay. Anyway,
no offense to the LGBT.
Anyway, it's not offense.
I know. I'm being silly.
It's not offense. I'm like, you still think? I don't think it's gonna be a woman when he pops up, but whatever. Anyway, so we get back to old boy.
My
right?
man does a video with his wife, the hostage,
and dog. It was the most uncomfortable. Like, yo, let me tell you. So I'm watching the video, right? And this was the first one, because remember, I watched this first before I went back and watched the other one, right? And the whole body language, the whole video was weird. Like, so he's sitting there. One, he has her hand in a death grip.
And again, he's a big nigga.
Right.
And she's not a big woman at all. So his hand is massive.
So he has her hand in a death grip. And on several occasions, it's both hands, right? Several occasions. Yeah.
I was like, blink twice if you need help, please.
Son, I was like, sis, right. we gonna come get you if you need us to.
Right.
If you let us know we gonna come get you. She sat there just kind of like, and her first words, like, so one thing I do is statement analysis, right?
Okay.
It's part of the thing I do is a class I took, and so one of the things I do for work.
Okay.
And so part of the training is like we would go through speeches and break down like
Yep.
the speech, just analyze
The structure of
forensically
it, and
analyze
yep,
the speech
yep,
and
yep.
just to see what. So the first words out of her mouth,
Okay.
I agree with everything he says. I was
Oh, that's a problem.
I was
That's a problem.
like,
Yeah.
the first word when he's like, you want to say when he lets her speak.
Yeah.
The
that
first
part,
thing she did was say, well, I agree with everything he said. And I was like, oh, this ain't gonna end well. Like, and so she said what she said about, I did leave, blah, blah, blah. And Doug, I believe that this happened. They dealt with it. However they dealt with it.
right?
And they're
moved good
on,
now,
right?
Yeah.
I believe that. I also believe that one, it obviously was not your first time.
Sure.
The time that she found out was not the only time you did it.
Sure.
This was the time she found out about, so you fessed up to that.
Right.
Right? And I also believe that now it's not about explaining anything to her because she already knows. It is about salvaging what your image, because you are more concerned about your image
That's right.
than anything else. Because what you did was you dragged your wife out here. Doug, I talked to many women today about, because, the women are frying him left and right, right?
Of course.
And the one consensus among every woman I talked to was, why she come on TV like that?
So it's funny you say that, right? and we talked about Charlamagne a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I don't think there's been a better report of everything other than Charlamagne's Donkey of the Day.
Charlamagne's Donkey of the Day broke it down, and the Breakfast Club's
the
breakdown yesterday.
Right.
Those two have
Together.
been the most on point.
Because like Charlamagne really honed in on that narcissist piece.
Yeah.
And he specifically talked about that. He was like, you care so much about you that you dragged your wife
looking
like that. And let's make it real clear, because it's not a case of, there's a problem with what she wore.
No.
It's that knowing that social media is such
because
a
you've been
horrible
on social media
place.
for
Right.
9 years.
Right. So it's a horrible place, and you know that her coming out like that, she's gonna end up being the point of conversation when really and truly it should be you.
Right. And Doug, here's the worst part of it, right? To echo and expand on what Charlamagne said, you brought her out like that, right? But you did not have to do this right now. You had time.
Sure.
You just gave a speech. So you had time to be like, all right, babe, look, let's do this. X,
Right.
Y, and Z. She ain't no Braun. I don't know, she ain't no Braun. She had on the beret.
I ain't see that close.
You didn't have to look close. I only noticed because girls noticed. Because girls saw them things hanging like she ain't even put a bra on. Bruh. Again, girls saw it and pointed it out to me.
Got you.
And was like, I was like, oh, shoot, you right. She had on that beret that looked like a bonnet that clearly, whatever you want to call it, she ain't put on. They was like, dog, sis ain't even put on some lip gloss, a little nothing. Nobody's saying she needed to be glammed up like she was headed to the club.
Sure.
But at least act like company coming over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get yourself look. Now, one me and homegirl even said, listen, this is your apology tour. If I even come out to do this, look, we need to move that camera back.
Right.
I'm coming out in the suit.
Facts.
I'm going to sit here with the leg crossed so you can see the full thigh meat. Like, you're going to be looking at me.
Right.
When you look at me,
you're going to be like,
they're going to be like, oh, shit, that's his wife. Okay.
That's who.
Because remember,
right.
He ain't been showing his wife. I found out this. Folks didn't even know he was married.
You know a good point that you just made that I didn't think about too?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm probably thinking way too deep into this, but
you're not.
But the fact that she looked like that
also
could have potentially helped prop him up.
Absolutely.
On some, I see why you would have cheated on
you ain't looking at it too deep at all. The narcissist, because remember, he's been doing this for 9 years.
Sure.
He knew exactly what he was doing. There was no rush to put this video out. You just put one out. But if I bring my wife on, the first time I'm exposing her to the world, and I don't. Take an example. You get with a chick, right? And you haven't introduced her to nobody yet, and you decide now you're bringing her out to a party,
right?
You know that first time that she about to come around, especially she about to come around your exes.
Say, y'all, you know me, so
she about to come around your exes. She about to come around your boys. Dog, look, she's gonna come out there.
I'm curating the whole thing.
Dog, jaws are gonna hit the floor when she step out.
I'm curating
the first time.
Yeah, the first few times.
Right, but I'm just talking about the first time.
Right.
You about to look at it like you about to wonder how I got with her.
Sure.
Like so.
Yep.
So the first time you bring and D Jaxn knows this. he ain't dumb.
You're right.
So what you said, you wasn't thinking too deep. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew what she looked like, right? She's not glammed up. She ain't got. Nah, let's do the video now. We good. You
right.
And the thing is, in her defense, I don't believe that she played into it to that level. I think she just like, okay, babe. Like, I genuinely believe that one, she's a little bit of a hostage. I think she may have a little bit of Stockholm syndrome.
Little?
Yeah, I think she has a little bit of Stockholm. She does not know what's going on. She is definitely being manipulated and has been conned by this man, and she loves him. So it's whatever you need, baby. I got you. Right? That's
yes.
So she came out there looking crazy, didn't know what to say, and was just like, yeah, I agree with everything he says, blah, blah. When he did whatever, I left and I didn't come back. And then when I came.
So here's the thing. I would have believed that until I saw her video.
No, we ain't get to her video yet. So
I know we didn't get this
we
video.
got a little bit of time. We ain't gonna beat this horse to that. But so video number 1 comes out, and of course, like you said, as predicted, everybody hones in on her.
Right.
As predictable. They do a second live.
Oh, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't see the second live.
I only saw, I saw his first video, and then I saw his video with her.
Right. And then you saw him
and I saw her video.
Right.
I didn't see his.
Oh, bruh.
There's another one.
There's like 2 more.
2 more.
Oh, so okay.
Jesus Christ.
Dog, that's why this story is so amazing to me, right? Because every time
I've been busy at work this week, so I haven't been able to actually pay attention.
I ain't been.
I had
this
time.
Nigga, this week, this all happened today.
Oh, really?
This all happened between yesterday and right now.
So why you ain't share it with me before we decided to start recording?
I sent it to the group, dog.
Okay.
Right.
I haven't been paying attention to it.
Exactly. I definitely sent it, dog.
Anyway, educate me, please.
All right. So immediately after doing the first video, people were in the comments talking about same shit you said. Blink twice, sis. Like,
right. Morse code.
Right.
Just
like,
give me your location. Right.
We gonna help. We gonna come get you if we need to.
Black Twitter would have found her.
No, we would have found her. Right. So they do a live, like almost immediately, still in the same clothes, where she's like, "Look, y'all, I know y'all said I didn't talk last time. This is my voice. I'm talking. Blah blah blah." Right. It was awkward as fuck. Though.
Was that the one where Shade Room asked him the question about the pastor?
Maybe. I didn't,
because all I saw was that piece. So I read a Twitter thread.
Right. I read the Twitter thread too.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
I've been way too invested in this, but this has been hilarious to me. I have, but
it's worth it though. Yeah, it's funny.
Ain't nothing else going on. This is hilarious to me. So in the video, it was basically she was more interactive.
Okay.
But still the messaging was the same. It was still very weird. He was still kind of dominating the whole conversation. Yeah, we're good now. All right. Anybody would think, you know what? Like you're a consultant.
I am.
Y'all said your piece. Shut up now.
Shut the fuck up.
There's nothing more to do. We done. Y'all said what you had to say. And you telling me this happened a year ago or whatever. So
sure.
He goes to his car.
Oh.
And
does one of his nostalgic videos.
He does a review of his video.
Oh, you know what? You're right. Because I think that's where. Okay, so I didn't see that. But in the Charlemagne video where he talks about the narcissistic traits where he's speaking in the third person.
Right.
So that must have been from that. Because I was where's he talking from?
And after the video,
Got you.
He went to his car and he said, well, someone in the comments said, hey, D, I would like to see you do a review of this video. So here it is. And I'm going to be speaking about myself in the third person. So he goes down to his car, the old cheating mobile. That he's been riding around to these other chicks' house, right?
Clearly.
So he goes down to the car and does a video review of his video with his wife, where he is backing up and supporting what the fuck he just said.
Oh, Jesus.
Dog, it was the most...
That just sounds like a fucking train wreck.
Dog, it was the most bizarre shit. Like, I couldn't stop watching it. I turned it on. I was like... Nah, bro. This ain't it, homie.
I'm not gonna watch that.
No,
I'm not gonna watch that.
But it was hilarious. So anyway, he does that, and it just solidifies everything that anyone has been saying about him to this point, right? Sure. Because it's like, you know what? Because at the end of the video, he also plugs his book, and in the caption of the video, he put the link to buy his book, right? Okay. So it's like, you have proven this ain't about you. This ain't about your relationship or your wife.
Right.
This is that, damn, this shit got out. Because think about it, right? he already quote unquote made his peace with this.
Did he?
But no, when I say he did, like with his wife.
Well, I guess you
right?
quote unquote, so that makes sense.
Right. They made their peace with what happened, right?
Right.
So he didn't ever need to address this again. This didn't need 5 different videos addressing it.
Sure.
Right? But he's worried about now losing support of the people that follow him because this goes against this goes more to his actual person and against the
everything he said. Literally everything he said. The caricature that he created is complete,
right.
It's not attainable because it mattered before because you were that guy.
Yep.
That was in the minority, but really and truly, you an ancient nigga just like all of us.
And
actually worse because
you're worse
because we can at least acknowledge where we fall short and work on it. You telling people don't be like Rich.
Right,
but you're rich.
Whole time you're low key worse than rich.
Right, like how the fuck?
Right, that's your whole and then you built a career on this.
Yes.
Your whole career has been based on crapping on dudes. So now here you are, and now you're trying to make sure that you can salvage it. And then the best part of the video is he's in there talking about, well, yeah, if I had heard that, I would have said, man, I don't believe this dude. But knowing what I know, I believe that he has made a change. I'm like, you're talking about yourself.
Well, aside from that,
you're also talking about a video you just did.
So I was say, aside, and I think that's a perfect segue here because, and I keep on going back to the Charlemagne video because his donkey of the day was so First of all, when I saw it was 13 minutes, I was like, why so long? But every second of that video,
it was
perfect.
It was perfection. Like this was nailed it.
The thing about it too is, and what's poetic about Charlemagne's piece is that, so I've read his books. If you know his story, he was an ancient nigga for a while.
Dog, him and that's again before you finish your point, just saying it brings back to like the beginning where like every other person
acknowledges where they
when you hear these stories, you don't blink. You're like, oh shit,
I get it.
Right. So go ahead.
So like him as an ancient nigga delivering this speech or this whatever you want to call it,
right,
is so perfect.
This monologue.
I love it. It's so perfect because when you really step back, like aside from the comedic part of it, aside from him being on air, it's like there's some nuggets in there that every guy can take away. Where it's like, yo, if you mess up, your role here is not to save face for anyone. Your role here is to fix your relationship.
Right. Exactly.
And focus on your relationship.
Bruh. So think about it. If you're telling me this was already done
a
year ago,
why are you still working?
And it's not even still. Look, let me tell you what would have made more sense to me with old Jaxn, right? If let's say this happened a year ago, right?
Right.
And he didn't wait for Candace to put him on blast a year later. He came out in his
and just said it,
or even just started to say, you know what? Honestly, fellas, I think I've been a little bit too hard on men because the reality is, sometimes things happen, blah, 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 and started to paint a more realistic picture.
Sure.
And then come out and said, hey, just so y'all know, I'm going through some stuff with my wife now because I have faltered. You don't even got to give us the specifics.
No details. Right.
Because if you want to, but the narcissist in him would not allow him.
Because he has to be painted
he
as
has
like
to continue
pure.
This. Right. He spent so long building this fake image.
Right.
He won't acknowledge and accept that image no longer exists. So rather than come to terms with it, what he does is pretends, and now when he gets exposed, me and my wife, we out here and we good and blah blah blah, and I gave my life to God, and you know what? And at first, the first one was I didn't cheat, I had a sexual relationship that didn't involve sex. Then 4 hours later, you do another video like, man, I was out there fucking and sucking and doing all kinds of dumb shit. I was like,
bro, when in the video with his wife. He was like, I want to make it clear.
Like, it was a lot of shit. Like,
I was like, wait.
No, I was knocking boots down.
I literally just watched a video when you was you by yourself, and you said there was no sex involved. Now you're saying what's going on, bro?
The best meme I saw today was a chick posted, and my cousin reposted it, and was like, yo, she was like, I will drag my bare coochie across 100-degree cold before I ever sit on any video hand in hand with my husband while he talks about how he cheated on me. And I was like, could you imagine?
Sense.
Could you imagine the audacity as a woman? Like I'm like, I know you cheated and you admit it and whatever, right?
Sure.
But in order to save your fans, I'm gonna come sit here while you low-key brag about.
He trying to pull what politicians do. right?
But-
But the difference is like politicians actually kind of have to do that.
You don't got to.
You don't have to. Like, you're nobody.
No.
Like you literally have no.
15 to 30 seconds. All you needed to say was,
It ain't your business.
dog, I
know
it
you're
happened,
doing nicer. Yeah.
Right. It happened. She forgave me. We've moved on. That was a year ago. Candace, thanks. Like,
Right. And on the real, like, not only did she forgive me, I don't deserve her. Like some extra shit. Like, actually throw yourself under the bus a little bit.
and then
to show how human you are.
And then when you do, if you decide to bring her out to the forefront, dog, pay for a beat. You know what I mean? Get a makeup artist to come through.
Put her in some
The first
Louboutins. Put her in like some Givenchy.
The first time she popped up on camera, niggas gonna be like, "You cheated on that?
Right.
The fuck is wrong with you?" You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Honestly, you're in the wrong. Make yourself look small. Big up your queen. Keep it moving. People would actually have a little bit more respect for you.
I think the way we end this is be like Offset. Like, yo, buy Birkins.
Let me tell you something. Offset came through.
Because he bought her a car too.
I think he bought
and what's wilder is Cardi B don't drive. He bought her car.
Dog.
He bought her Birkins.
Offset did what he needed to do to get his woman back, and he got and honestly, when he did what he did, nobody was surprised. Nobody sat there like, Offset cheated?
Right.
Oh my God. Like,
right.
Okay.
People were probably like, makes sense.
Sounds about right.
Right.
Sounds about right. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
Anyway, dog. Enough about old DJ. Well, we're going to finish with this.
Okay.
Because this has happened since all of the other videos happened that his girl,
I was about to
the
say,
wife,
we can't not talk about her video because on the real, bro, I felt sorry for her until her video. I was like, what is going on? My homegirl came out in the exact same beret that she was wearing and a camouflage shirt and says, this, you guys see a beret
or bonnet.
Oh yeah, you guys see a bonnet.
I see like a helmet of salvation.
Helmet of salvation. And then she says, y'all see a camo shirt, and this is the armor of God. And I mean, pretty much what she's doing, she's pulling from Ecclesiastes right now. And I'm just like,
here's the thing, though. Right. Dog. I was like, sis,
just stop. Just stop.
You're not
making it any better. Like, bro, like literally every video has made it worse.
No, that's just like honestly, that is the best part of this whole story. That him cheating, niggas was like, oh shit, not you. And they have systematically made it more and more entertaining every time they. So then I was like, and if that's what they wanted, they won. I'll give like
that's not what they wanted, bro.
When I say it's not what they wanted, like oftentimes like you just want publicity.
Sure.
So and sometimes
people
I'm like,
say bad press or all press is good press, which is bullshit.
Is it though?
It is. It is. Like that only works for certain people.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say, but
that's not gonna work for him because all the people who are clowning him right now is giving him publicity. No one's gonna buy his book.
But bro, you gotta remember the society we live in, right?
Okay.
Think about it like this.
First of all, we ain't reading his book.
Right.
Were you gonna read his book?
Absolutely not, though. But here's the thing. I was not reading his book to begin with.
Neither was I.
I'm not reading it now.
And most of his fans weren't gonna read his book to begin with either.
Right. So
that's my point.
Right. But think about it like this. Remember the society we live in, right?
Okay.
It's not about. Hold on one second. We can hear y'all. So
please don't edit that out.
I'm not, because the mic.
Right.
So, the thing about society we live in, yeah, the book, because when someone clicked on it, the 50% off he's selling the book for gets to $4.99, right, or some shit like that. It's a $10 book. But remember,
from a number standpoint, though, if you got 1 million people,
yeah, absolutely. But remember, this is a stream-based society.
Sure.
He's on YouTube,
right?
He's on Facebook.
More
he's on
people
Instagram.
watch,
right. So
right.
It doesn't matter if they buy his book or not.
True.
So what I'm saying is, when you say,
that's what you're saying.
There's going to be people who are going to hate watch it, who are going to watch it not because they want to hear it.
It's like literally like the Howard Stern effect, where people
like,
hated him, but like I remember they did the ratings. They were like, people listening who liked him listened because they wanted to hear what he was going to say next. People who listened who hated him listened because they wanted to hear what he was going to say next. It's like either way,
Floyd Mayweather,
a number,
right?
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather, one of the greatest. I don't think he is, but one of the greatest boxers and one of the most
in his
hated.
weight class,
right? In his weight class and one of the most hated. people watched because they wanted to see someone beat him.
Sure.
And they watched
And he
because
never
they loved
lost.
him. Right.
Right.
You're going to get the viewers. So
That's a good point.
So that's why. So right now, there's no bad press right now because as long as you're clicking view,
Good point.
there's money going in his pocket.
Sure.
So they did, and honestly, I'm okay with being one of those views right now because this was entertaining to me and it cost me nothing. I'm not buying your book, right? I'm not buying your book. But I will click because this is entertainment. And it shows why I don't follow you.
Yo, I just had a weed moment. Even though I ain't smoked today.
Right. What was the weed moment?
What if, right? He saw that nobody was buying his book. So he was like, we need streams. Let us create this shit literally to get.
So Candace came out of nowhere.
No, I'm not saying.
No, I mean,
like
no,
he might have called Candace and been like,
right. That's what I mean. Came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Like that would actually make some sense. Granted, again, weed thoughts.
Right. No, fam. Let me tell you something.
It makes sense.
If 5 years from now that story comes out, I might shake his hand. And I'll be honest with you. And here's why. Here's why I say that.
Okay.
Here's why I say that.
I want to hear this.
It's a brilliant strategy. Nobody's buying your book, so you create a scandal
To make some money.
and we fell for it. I would shake his hand because I fell for it.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying?
And you enjoyed it in the process.
I enjoyed it in the I enjoyed
at his downfall.
His downfall.
Right.
Not the downfall of a black man. So
Sure.
y'all pro-black. Leave me alone. Not the downfall of a black man. His specific.
Why you point out?
Because I know it's some
I'm
people
fucking
that
you.
you know some people.
I know.
People who don't know the difference between opinion and subjective and all of them. You know, they so it's like I enjoyed this
Sure.
for what it was. So
I wouldn't shake his hand, but like I will live vicariously through you.
maybe not actually shake his hand, but I would commend him for this because
I was about to say because like you can't go shaking that nigga's hand and not vote for me if I run.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I
got you. Metaphorically,
we're fam at least.
Yeah. Dog, metaphorically shake his hand. You know what I mean? Like I'd be like, you know what? Good, well played.
Right.
I'd give him a well played.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Well played, my dude. Well played. So,
take that.
all right, y'all. So, thank you guys for watching us. Listen, and we understand. People have broke this down till the cows come home, and
there's probably nothing we said that hasn't been said before, but we enjoyed breaking this down.
We needed this because this was hilarious. So, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you keep on following us. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all our social media, Twitter @Guys Unpacked. Make sure you go ahead, click the link, subscribe to the podcast on
comment
on YouTube.
Please.
Comment.
Yo, like
in the DMs.
I can't stress how much that we want you to comment because honestly, we want to hear what you guys are saying.
Jump in the DMs. Let us know if there's any topics that you want us to talk about. Because actually, a couple of people hit me about this and was like, "Yo, y'all should talk about this," which was part of the reason why we even.
Don't get it twisted.
So
don't get it twisted. One of the halves of the Vidals, not the Vidals, sorry, the Tikas. Well, I clearly just gave it away there. Was like, are y'all gonna talk about this? Like, come through.
So feel free, hit us up. Let us know the stuff y'all want us to talk about. At some point, we're going to be doing some live streams just as things happen. We're going to jump on here, go live, and let y'all know when we will. Other than that, we thank y'all for tuning in.
This is Dre.
Rich. We've been the Guys Unpacked, and we will catch y'all next week.
Boom. If you enjoyed this, make sure you check out all our full episodes on YouTube @Guys Unpacked.
Also available anywhere you get your podcast, and follow us on all social media @Guys Unpacked.